Hey y'all, I am former state representative Attica Scott, and this is Ask Attica, where we're in conversations with folks in Louisville who are doing community-based work of all kinds. We want to learn, listen, engage, and take action. So we come to you live on Fridays at 11 o'clock a.m. on Say Live Streams, Facebook, and YouTube pages, and then you can catch us afterwards if you weren't able to see us live throughout the day and the rest of the week. I'm really honored today to have a special guest with us, Pastor Angela Johnson. And instead of me introducing you, Pastor Johnson, and deciding how you're showing up today, please share a little bit more with folks about who you are and the work that you do.
Alrighty, so I'm Angela Johnson, born and raised here in Louisville. I am the pastor of Grace Hope Presbyterian Church in Smoketown, the corner of Clay and Breckenridge. And I am a pastor that believes the church needs to be outside the walls.
Yes. And I've been to Grace Hope quite a few times. My dear friend Tom Moffitt was
Yeah,
uh, laid to rest
right,
there. And then I've been to some Louisville Tenants Union meetings at
absolutely.
Grace Hope. So very glad to have you in the community and in Smoketown in particular.
Thank you.
So you know, as do many people, that President Trump signed an executive order to end consent decrees by July of this year.
Yes.
And we also know that federal Judge Beaton here in Louisville, who was appointed by Trump in 2020, has granted the Department of Justice yet another delay in signing the consent decree with Louisville Metro Government, the Louisville Metro Police Department, and the United States Department of Justice.
hmm
Can you share some with folks who are watching why it was important to you to speak to Louisville Metro Council last night about the consent decree?
Yes, I was speaking on behalf of CLOUT, which is Citizens of Louisville Organized and United Together, which is a faith based organization composed of 24 churches of interfaith and a synagogue in Louisville. It was very important to speak to that so that the Metro Council understands how important it is to have that dollar amount left in the budget so that a monitor could be hired so that consent decree reforms can go forward,
Yes.
regardless of what Judge Beaton says, regardless of what our public and present administration says. I'll say
Yes,
so, yeah.
absolutely. And we're going to come back to the
hmm
work of CLOUT and some commitments that politicians make when they come to the CLOUT Assembly. So we'll do that
Okay.
in just a little bit.
Okay.
But I also noticed, Pastor Johnson, when you were speaking to Metro Council last night, that there were some council members who it didn't seem to matter to them.
Mm.
They were visibly yawning, almost exaggerating, not even covering their mouths as most of us do when we yawn just in general.
Mm.
Some council members were playing on their phones. Others were just kikiing with one another, having conversations. So, what was that like for you to be up there with 3 minutes? That's all you get is three
Right.
minutes, knowing it's not a lengthy amount of time
hmm
to look around and see council members who were obviously not paying attention.
Um, I don't let that sway me. It has to be spoken. I understand that other people are hearing that conversation as well, or all the persons that were there to speak. You can't be phased by that. You have to be in this for the long haul. And prayerfully, they will understand if they can multitask, as so many people do, that they can understand or remember something that was said, and that they will keep that dollar amount in the budget. So, being a pastor, people do the same thing during Sunday, so
That's
Sunday
right.
sermon. So you don't let that bother you.
And
Yeah.
thank you for saying that because there are people who have either never spoken before, counsel before, have
hmm
thought about it, but are nervous or anxious, have a
hmm
lot of anxiety about it. And thank you for reminding them that you do it anyway,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, that's going to happen. And you
Right.
show up and you speak to the ones who are willing to listen. And like you said, prayerfully, others will hear what you have to say.
Right.
So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're going to take a break for a few seconds and then come back. And I've got a few more questions for you about cloud and about the work that you do in the
Yeah.
community so that folks who are watching can get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
Okay.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
Hey guys, before we get back to the live stream, I'm Tracy, the bartender at Southern Hospitality Bar and Grill, located at 3402 West Broadway. You guys got to come and check us out. You can call your order in, and the phone number is 502-822-1474. Again, I'm Tracy, the bartender at Southern Hospitality. Come check us out, guys.
All right, y'all, welcome back. We are here with Pastor Angela Johnson, and we've heard from Pastor Johnson about why it was important to her to speak to Louisville Metro Council about the consent decree. We've learned about her work as ministering at Grace Hope in Smoketown, and a little bit about her work with CLOUT. So I want to expand on that. So, Pastor Johnson, I people know I'm a woman of faith. I talk about it often. Proud member of Greater Friendship Baptist Church in the California neighborhood,
Right.
where our pastor is the Reverend Dr. Derek L. Miles.
Yes.
And so, but I also know as a mom of two young people in their 20s that church attendance has been declining for a long time.
Long time.
Yes. So can you talk to us some about in these times in particular, what is the role of the church?
Well, for me, the role of a church, this pastor speaking, is really to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the community. Uh, Church for me is more than worship and Bible study and men's ministries and women's ministries and youth ministry. It's all of that. Plus, we're to go out and make disciples, right? And so that means being in the community. And I am a pastor that believes that you can make disciples in many different ways. It doesn't always have to be through sermons, preaching, and teaching. It is also, as I say, through our partnership with Dare to Care. You can meet Jesus over a head of cabbage, right? So it's always just being present for the community, being a resource for the community, and just letting the people around the church in the neighborhood know who you are and being out there. So my stance on what it means to be church is a little bit different, and that also includes fighting for justice. So that, Jesus did a lot of that,
Yes.
right? It wasn't just about personal salvation, it was also about salvation of community.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking for in the work that we do at Grace Hope. That's Grace Hope's legacy.
I appreciate that. That's beautiful. And that kind of leads us into a conversation to come back around to CLOUT.
Yes.
So I'm familiar with CLOUT when I was a Louisville Metro Council member.
Right.
CLOUT, of course,
Right.
was very active with Metro Council and remains active
Yes.
with Metro Council. So can you expand some on the mission of CLOUT? And also, can you share with folks how they can get involved?
Absolutely. So CLOUT is citizens of Louisville organized and united together. We are composed of around 24 worshiping communities, whether that be a synagogue or a church. We're ecumenical, different uh, denominations, if you will. And we work for justice in Louisville. So it's great to protest and do that. We need that in the street to call attention to the matter. But then to come in and be organized, gather all the people together that are justice minded, and then work on those issues, holding systems and the folks we elect accountable.
Yes.
It's a tendency sometimes for them to get in office and forget
Yes.
all the things they promised, and we are there to remind them. So, community organizing is something I believe that churches should be involved in. We can't do it by ourselves. Each congregation can't do it alone anymore. We need to come together and do this work.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you for acknowledging that marches, protests, rallies are important for
Absolutely.
amplifying an issue because
Yes.
sometimes, and I know, especially during the protests in 2020, I would hear people, agonize about why are they out there in the streets? Why are they doing that? And we were doing exactly what you said, trying to bring attention while
Right.
people like you and other folks were holding
And
elected officials accountable. It takes all of us
all of
in lots
us.
of different ways
Right.
to get the justice that you talk
Right.
about. So
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
So before we go, is there anything that you want to share with folks who are watching that I may have forgotten or you want to share?
Right. Well, what I would say the strong point about CLOUT is people power, right? The more people we gathered at the Nehemiah in April, we had just under 1,000 people at Memorial Auditorium. And I would say to people, if you are justice minded and you belong to a congregation that may not be so, you are welcome to stand with Grace Hope Presbyterian Church. It's called a church office, and let us know, and we'll reach out to you, and you can stand with us. If you are a member of a congregation that is not involved in justice work at that level, then I encourage you to speak with your pastor, speak with your outreach ministry, whatever ministry that can get you out and get involved with CLOUT. We are at cloutky.org. Contact us, leave a message, and one of our organizers will reach out to you. It is a great way to get work of justice done, working collaboratively
Yes.
rather than working and doing it, trying to do it by ourselves.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you mentioned something before we go
Uh huh.
about the Nehemiah Assembly.
Yes.
And of course, lots of folks are talking about the assembly this year. So can you expand a little bit on how that works, especially with elected officials? And sometimes I know they come in to make commitments. So can you talk
Yes.
about that?
Yes. So at the Nehemiah this time regarding the consent decree,
Yes.
we had 6 asks of the mayor, and he said yes to all of those. And so, but we will also follow up with him, and he will come back to the Community Problems Assembly on October 27th and give us an update on what's happening with that. So
Okay.
that's the great thing. You make a commitment in front of 1,000 people.
Mhm.
That's different than me going to the mayor's office and he commits to me and then nothing happens.
Okay.
So that's the great thing about CLOUT as well. We do follow up. We don't just let it drop.
Hmm.
So sometimes you can probably remember we are very insistent
Yes.
and persistent.
Yes.
So we need that in faith work today.
Absolutely.
So yes,
All right, so folks, I hope you heard that. So the Nehemiah Assembly that happened in April, am I correct? That
yes,
happened in April. Mayor Greenberg was there. He made 6 commitments, or he said yes to the 6 commitments that Cloud was asking of him related to the consent decree,
yes,
and then they will follow up with him at the October 27th
yes,
assembly. So make sure that you're following Clouds on social media. Pastor Johnson mentioned the website. Make sure you check that out and then look for that accountability to happen in October. So,
absolutely.
again, Pastor Johnson, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here with us. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
so much for your time. And we're going to take a few-second break and then we're going to come back and I'm going to share some news updates with folks. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, hey, I know you're watching the live stream right now, but I want to take a moment to tell you to check out this new book right here over my shoulder. Believe me, it'll be worth it.
Welcome to Skills for Life, located at 204 East Jacob Street. She's holding on. Here at Skills for Life, we offer services 6 months to 12-year-olds.
Tell me what this is. This is the what? The front of the book?
With a warming environment, a comforting atmosphere, with therapy services, social emotional learning, plant-based meals, and more.
Parents can look forward to having their children in a safe environment.
Join us at Skills for Life.
We have a plant-based diet that we serve, meals that we serve to our children, and they can expect that their children are safe and loved.
And for more information, call us at 502-822-3975.
All right, y'all, welcome back, and thank you so much for tuning into my conversation with Pastor Angela Johnson. And now I want to do some rapid news updates for y'all because this is really Ask Attica. Y'all ask me every week about what's happening, what's going on at the local, state, federal level. So I pulled out the top 5 issues that y'all have raised up. So one of the first is around JCPS, Jefferson County Public Schools, and the superintendent search. So by now, most of you know that it's down to 2 finalists for superintendent of JCPS. And so I want to make sure that y'all are aware that there will be 2 public forums next week on May 20th. So if you're interested in being in conversation with school board members about these 2 JCPS superintendent finalists, because as you know, Dr. Marty Polio announced his retirement, then on May 20th at 4 o'clock, you can show up at the JCPS Center for Professional Learning, or also on May 20th at 7 o'clock, you can show up at Stouffer Elementary to get your questions answered, engage in conversation, and learn more about the 2 finalists for JCPS Superintendent. I'm a mama, and I'm a proud graduate of JCPS as well, as are both of my kids, so I know how important this is for the future of our school system, but also for our city. So show up, folks, to those 2 opportunities. And if you have any questions specifically for your school board member and you don't know who that is, Go to the JCPS website, find out who your school board member is, and get to know them. They are your direct link to decisions that are being made in education in Jefferson County. The second thing that y'all have been talking about is Joe Creason Park and the $65 million pickleball project. It's not happening. So it was an idea, $65 million for a pickleball court at Joe Creason Park. Neighbors, community folks said that's not what we want, and it's not happening. So thank you to everyone who spoke up, who showed up, and who said we're going to speak up for our community and what we actually want. So that project is not happening. The third thing y'all have been raising up is that Louisville Metro government is facing a $14 million deficit. So please pay close attention these next few weeks as Louisville Metro Council has its budget hearings. Those are public. Go to those budget hearings, y'all, to hear what the priorities are. Make your issues known to your council member. If you don't know who that is, go to Louisville Metro Government's website so you can find out. You can actually look up, type in your address, and it will let you know who your Metro Council member is. Get to know them so that you can find out what they are prioritizing and you can share with them what's important to you. The fourth thing in my rapid news update is actually about another state. So, congratulations to Missouri for passing the Crown Act. And a special shout out to my dear friend, sister, Representative Rachel Prouty for her leadership in getting the Crown Act passed in Missouri. As y'all know, as a state representative, that was an issue that I championed for years. And now we have an executive order here in Kentucky. We need to still get a law passed because an executive order can be overturned by the next gubernatorial administration. So the Crown Act banned discrimination against natural hair like mine in housing, in education, in public services, in employment. So that's why it's so important to have the Crown Act. And then the fifth issue is also a national issue. Y'all know I'm all about the connection between pop culture and politics. So I've been following the Sean Diddy, all the names, Combs trial, because he's got a lot of names, a lot of aliases. And of course, you know that his trial is about federal charges. And at the same time, Cassie, who was in a relationship with him, a relationship, if you will, for 11 years, has been brought in to show what his character is like. The testimony has been heartbreaking to listen to. I am begging y'all, trust women, trust their stories and experiences. We often do things out of fear. So being with him for 11 years may not have actually been her choice, but was done out of fear. So keep that in mind. Most of us probably know someone who has been in a situation that they could not or would not leave because of that fear. So just keep that in mind. Remember that because I'm concerned about some of the things I'm seeing on social media about Cassie. And I just ask y'all, beg y'all, please show that sister some grace and mercy. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Ask Attica this week. We'll be back next week, next Friday at 11 o'clock on that lunch hour. Join us on your lunch break, and we will have another special guest. I think we actually have two special guests next Friday. All right, thank y'all. Have a good weekend.